times are changing, and Africa is now the world's youngest continent.
Africa is the youngest continent. Majority of the population are under 35.
What are we doing about the youth? Because the youth constitute one of the important pillars that we're focused on.
Let me say the youth are not only the future of this region, but I believe we are the present and future.
If we define what do we mean by young people, there is this external perception that young people are a homogeneous group. This is not the reality. We have also young people in vulnerable settings. We have young people with disabilities, and we have foremost young women.
But again, a population that is ill-skilled and unemployed can be a demographic curse. So this is the challenge, but the opportunity is in us trying to convert this demographic dividend into opportunities.
But also young people as being the largest population, they are our biggest asset.
Because the richness of nations is not in stones, but in its people.
It's never been more important to develop our youth into confident and transformational leaders that can navigate Africa through the incoming economic and political climates. Africa's youth are faced with growing concerns about how to thrive in their purpose, and that's where You Lead Africa comes in. Founded in 2017, we are Africa's flagship youth leadership program, following the youth's greater demands and expanding our work from the East African community to the continent.
There are many challenges facing young people on the African continent. The biggest one of them is that each and every one of the young people in Africa have the desire to become a leader. I think investments should be made more to build the capacity of young people in Africa to become effective leaders.
Under globalization, the world is small. The whole world outside there has skills. We need to equip our youth with the requisite skills so that they participate properly, even in global interaction.
And this means that we need to do more to create economic opportunities and work opportunities for young people.
You Lead for me represents that opportunity for young people to first of all think about their problems collectively and then develop, if it be disruptive strategies to take action on addressing those challenges.
The summit, it's not just a 3 days or 4 or 5 days event for young people to come and chit-chat and go home. Whatever they are saying is influencing our one-year work, what we call the post-summit agenda.
With now more than 10,000 alumni and over 30 partners, and active partner-led work in all 5 major African regions, a One Young Africa is our vision.
We have a great vision. We're envisioning 150 delegates in person, 20,000 virtually, but this is not to me the only success indicator. The success indicator is ensuring that all these 20,000 young people virtually provide inputs and meaningfully engage throughout the conversation, and all their suggestions are then incorporated into our post-summit agenda.
Look at 2017, just East Africa coming together, and now thousands of African young people.
Unit Summit 2021. We are proud to announce that we are going continental, coming together as a One Young Africa.
And we want actually to break the borders. The CFTA is here. We want African young people to come together under You Lead Summit platform, trade together across the borders, innovate together across the borders, and create jobs as well as prosper together.
That's what drove us to become, One Young Africa. We have the potential and the capacity to do so.
From 8th to 12th November 2021, we are hosting Africa's largest hybrid summer ever with You Lead Africa's patron, His Excellency Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, former President of Tanzania as Chief Convener, and Honorable Dr. Peter Matuki, the EAC Secretary General as co-convener. The theme is The Future of Africa, creating jobs, feeding and housing the world's youngest continent.
I call upon policymakers, development partners, the private sector, media, civil society, and other stakeholders to be part of and support the East African community in convening this year's You Lead Summit.
It will attract participation from all the partner states of the EAC and indeed the continent. I thank you. Asanteni sana. See you in Arusha. Tujenge vijana wetu.
Since 2017, ULEAD Summit, as popularly known, is jointly convened annually by the East African Community and MS Training Center for Development Cooperation in Arusha, Tanzania, in collaboration with a myriad of partners.
COVID-19 is both a blessing and a curse, equally.
We have seen how the COVID pandemic has hit very hard young people.
And this is why ULEAD Africa will bring together more than 15,000 people on a single platform, because travel is restricted, but more people come together through the internet, courtesy of COVID-19.
We are welcoming a virtual and physical audience from all African countries together on the same platform.
Nonetheless, COVID-19 has reduced the opportunities for young people. Young people have lost jobs, and COVID-19 pushes us beyond the boundary to innovate and create jobs that we have lost using COVID-friendly mechanisms such as online platforms, as well as increased cooperation between and among young people across the borders, especially under the CFTA, which regards that trade should happen beyond borders of any country.
The 2021 summit will be delivered in the form of thematic forums. The Under 40 Political Leaders Forum, which examines current representative democracy models. The Under 40 Business Leaders Forum assesses the existing environment for doing business.
So it is important to engage and involve youth from initial discussion about our drive to promote continental free trade area.
The Arusha Debate is infused into your lead summit to generate insights into how to make social and economic development a reality.
Yes, so the Arusha Debate is being convened by ourselves, MSTCDC. As you know, we're quite curious, but also propagate Pan-Africanism and knowledge that is homegrown and bred.
Arusha hosts a number of higher education institutions, and it's the right place for hosting the Arusha Debate.
When I want to speak,
the Tanzanian government has been so keen under the leadership of Our Excellence Samia Suluhu Hassan in getting all the youth participate.
The Arusha Peace Model showcases models that promote the role of youth in peace building. The Gender Equality Forum discusses ways to dismantle the structural causes at the root of gender inequality. East Africa to Bonge, a joint flagship initiative of ULEAD Africa and Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association, KYPA, to foster young leaders' legislative enlightenment. ULEAD Summit 2021 Key Milestones. Launch of the East African Youth Agenda. Unveiling the inaugural EAC ULEAD Fellowship. Launch of the Youth Governance Architecture Study Series. Unveiling the Elected Young Leaders Performance and Cooperation Peer Review Mechanism. Launch of the Arusha Debate through the inaugural Arusha Debate session. There are so many opportunities for partnership and ways to work with us or contribute financially to our cause. Contact us. You can also connect with us through our social media channels at One Young Africa.
ULEAD Summit 2019 is the Africa that we want.
And I really appreciate ULEAD Summit for giving us a platform on how we can build a collective power to create a sustainable movement that will help us create change in our society.
So I'm very, very happy to participate in ULEAD Summit 2019.
ULEAD Summit is really awesome.
ULEAD Summit Youth Power.
ULEAD Summit is empowering.
ULEAD Africa, a One Young Africa where dreams are born and youth become leaders.
The ULEAD Summit 2021 is here. Since 2017, the ULEAD Summit has been jointly convened by the East African Community and MS Training Center for Development Cooperation in Arusha, Tanzania. This annual climax event is now East Africa's largest and most diverse forum for young leaders, mentors, government policymakers, development partners, academia, media, private sector, and civil society from all over the continent to craft responses to the continent's rapidly growing youth population, their challenges and opportunities. Wondering how to become a delegate? Head over to our website www.uleadsummit.org. Follow the prompts and enter all the required information and submit. After submission, your application will go through assessment, review, and finally admission. Admitted delegates will be announced weekly on our platforms until we officially close applications. One day before the summit, delegates will be able to log in and get acquainted with our virtual space. You will be able to visit partner booths and product stands, check the forums you've registered for, view the conferencing environment, confirm venues for all your sessions, network with fellow delegates via our live chat room and lounge, and view the conference schedule. Once the summit kicks off, you will be ushered into our virtual summit lobby where you can ask questions at the info desk and speak directly to us. At this point, you can navigate to different areas of the summit. The exhibition hall. Here you will find a collection of booths by our partners and sponsors. In these booths, you can interact with our partners and sponsors directly via live chat, and you can view and save uploaded documents and videos, as well as view products and services. Auditoriums. The ULEAD Summit comprises several thematic sessions. The Under 40 Political Leaders Forum, the Arusha Peace Forum, the Gender Equality Forum, the Arusha Debates partner-led workshop sessions, and East Africa to Bonge. You will have access to all these auditoriums where you can watch live and semi-live webinars. You can also ask questions and talk to fellow delegates and other attendees in the live text chat. The lounge. Here you can live chat with other attendees and delegates in between sessions. So log on to www.uleadsummit.org to register and apply.
Good afternoon, everyone.
How are you?
I am good, thank you. I hope everyone who is here is also all right. I see people are still joining. We are getting to the start of our event. I just want to do just one check with our panelists and be sure we have all of them here. Let me start with Joan Nalubega. Joan, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
I can see you. Hi.
Hi, how is everyone doing?
We are good. I also am checking on Harriet Kamashanyu. Harriet, good afternoon. Oh, I think I massacred your name. I see you smiling. We can't hear you, Harriet. I see you are talking, but we can't hear you. I think you are a bit far from the mic. Try again. Hello, Harriet. Are you using earphones? Oh, no. Okay, while we are waiting for Harriet to come, Alumai Edward Edens. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam.
How are you?
I'm fine, I'm fine.
That's good to have you. Mr. Ruben Gwetuka. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and I'm happy to be part of this team.
Thank you very much for joining us. We are supposed to be having 3 young MPs. I am checking if they are here. Honorable Dr. Lydian Abe, good afternoon. If you are here, just say hi. I guess she hasn't yet joined. She will be joining us. Honorable Okot Boniface. Not yet. Okay, not yet. And Honorable Agnes Kirabo. Also not yet. When they will be joining, my colleagues will let me know. Harriet, let's try again. Hello, Harriet. Okay, I hope I can't hear you. Can you put your computer near you? Oh, it's near. Okay. Imagine you can hear me, but I can't. Are you using earphones? No, okay. Can you just yeah, I see you, you can hear me, you are even answering. You can just drop off and join again. That would also be maybe to check if that will be better. Yes, we are going to start. I just want to say thank you very much to all of you who have been able to join. My name is Kazaneza Uget. I work for ULEAD in the regional coordination as the regional program associate. I am Burundian. You will hear that my English is not perfect, and I apologize for that. We are going to start this session, which we will do it in, I think we will try to use 3 methodology, 3 types of doing this. We are going to have a panel. The people I have already called, you have already heard about them. They will talk more about them. And then we will have polls running. We will be launching polls so that everyone who is here, everyone without anyone missing, will be able to contribute through the polls. We will launch around 5 polls, so please take part in the polls. There is an icon down near the chat icon. You will see an icon written polls. So when the polls will be going on, you can use that box and open it, and you will find polls. And lastly, we will try to give a few people to talk, although we are not. We will have to see with time, but I want to invite everyone also who wants to contribute to use the chat box. Please, for any contribution you want to make, use the chat. We have been, this is the second time we are doing this. Last year we had a consultation, especially on youth, on political governance. Today we are focusing mainly on economical governance, and then we will talk also about the East Africa leadership we want. This is something we are partnering with the Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete Foundation. I hope people from the Jakaya Kikwete will be here soon, and they can say hi. But we are also here with all our consortium members from Uganda, which I will also be saying hi to every one of them who is here. So, and the National Youth Council Uganda. So thank you very much. And please, I just actually want to congratulate that this is very quiet, but keep your mic closed when you are not speaking. And if you want to say something, please raise your hand, your virtual hand. Let me check just one last time with Harriet. Harriet, try.
Hello, can you hear me?
Very well, yes.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining, and hopefully we will keep engaging, and the technology will allow us to keep on engaging. So I will just start we will have set of questions, and again, as I'm talking to our panelists, feel free to make a comment in the chat, to engage in the chat, anything, and we will be able to really take all your contribution you have made through the chat box it will be into the East African Youth Agenda. So feel free to keep engaging. So I will just start with Joan. Joan, hi again. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
So I will start with you, especially we know talking about economics, we can't just come and start talking about economy and whatever. Many of you have gone through school, have done secondary school, university, some have done masters and PhD. But my first question to you as somebody who is in business, to what extent do you feel that the formal education you attained prepared you for economic success you have today? And I want you to answer with your experience, but also with the things you can see among your colleagues, your friends who are in business. Does the education system we have in our own countries prepare us for engaging into business?
Okay, thank you so much. That's a really, really good question. According to my experience and in managing a business and also going through the education system in Uganda, I would say on a small percentage, yes, the education, my education supported me in my business journey, in managing the business, but to a bigger extent, it didn't. Why? Because I didn't, like when I was going through school, high school. Right now, I'm still at university, but I also own a business. I started a business after I finished high school, and then I went back to school after really understanding what I really want to do. So, but before, what education was giving me is something I thought I wanted to utilize or use, but it wasn't clear on what I can use the education for. And for example, right now I'm owning a business and I needed a lot of management skills. I needed a lot of innovation when your creativity. And and I need a lot of openness. Like, you need to be open-minded when you're really owning a business or running a business, even if you're employed. And these are things that really education didn't provide. So I had to go out of my comfort zone as I started the business and start acquiring skills, all these skills on my own. Taking different other courses specific on what I really wanted to. So I feel that's why I feel like somehow it supported me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to speak English, or I wouldn't be able to speak in front of people. But still, I had to invest more to be where I am today, or to acquire the skills and the knowledge that I have right now. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Joan. So I think I forgot one important thing which many participants are asking, that I didn't let speakers introduce themselves. Just tell us, just in few seconds, what to do.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, my name is Nalurika Joan. I am the CEO and founder of Uganda Switzerland Limited. So Uganda is a social enterprise that is fighting malaria, utilizing everyday household products like soap, creams, and we work with hotels and resort tour companies and pharmacies who buy our products at a high profit margin, and we're able to cross-finance the products for the low-income communities in Uganda. So we have partnerships with the hotels within Uganda, and we also have partnerships outside Uganda, in Europe and in the United States, where we sell our products.
Yes, thank you much, Joan, for that. I will go directly to Mr. Ruben. Mr. Ruben, should I introduce you, or I let you introduce for yourself? He's from the Ministry of Trade, Industry and the Cooperatives, so he can just add something I haven't said, and then I will go to the question. To you, Mr. Ruben.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. And I'm very happy to be part of this dialogue today. Ruben Rekuta, I work primarily as a principal marketing officer at the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. But also I do outreach programs to universities where...
Hello. Hey. Shut up, shut up.
Can you hear me, please?
Julie, please shut up. Will you please shut up? We don't want to hear you. Please fuck off right now.
Hello?
Yes, Ruben, we can hear you.
We can hear you, but we don't want to hear you. So please fuck off right now.
Africans. Bloody Africans. Host, don't mute me. Yes, host, don't mute me, or else I'll come to Africa.
Hello.
Africans,
Muted.
your meetings have been hacked.
Kaze.
Hey guys, everything's okay? Who's going there?
Apologies, everyone. We're just trying to sort out a few of the issues that we had with some unpleasant guests, and then we can just start over. Apologies.
Thank you, Fiona.
I think we can proceed.
Yes, Kaze, we can go ahead. Apologies,
Okay.
everyone.
Yes, so sorry to everyone. That wasn't a pleasant experience. But thank you for sticking around with us. Yes, Mr. Ruben, you were talking. To you, Mr. Ruben. Mr. Ruben, you can unmute. Yes.
Yes. I was presenting as the Principal Marketing Officer at the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. And at the same time, we do outreach programs to universities in the country where we try to reach out to young students in universities to introduce them to international trade frameworks and policies that they can utilize to take opportunities that arise from trade agreements that we have regionally, continent-wise, and maybe internationally. Yeah, precisely that is Ruben Wekuta. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ruben, for joining. I will go directly to you and ask that looking at the job market demand in Uganda and the whole training education, whole education system, which training actions would you think they best fast track economic success for young people? Is it vocational? Is it formal skill training, entrepreneurship skills, or anything else you see help young people to succeed according to the job market demand in Uganda?
Thank you once again, moderator. On the issue of job markets in Uganda, my observation is that we actually need a mix of the three options vocational, formal, and entrepreneurship skills. They are very important because the trade and industry landscape, which provides opportunities for employment for young people, is impacted upon by very many diverse factors, which will require that in order to respond to them, you will need a mix of vocational, you'll need a mix of formal training, but you also need to be innovative, to be an entrepreneur. Incidentally, the trade arena, the way it is when we observe the trade arena, we observe that it is extremely very dynamic. It changes within a very short time because the forces that impact on industry, the forces that impact on trade, and therefore that impact on the demand for labor, they come from all sorts of issues that happen sometimes within our borders, but also largely from outside the borders. For example, formal skills training is very important for youth employment because, for example, use of ICT tools and being able to use the, say, technology to access markets, to access information, to move goods. This creates quite a lot of immense opportunity for production, for trade, and this production and trade is the one that creates opportunities for employment, and we therefore need our youth to be trained formally in those areas so that they are able to obtain and utilize the opportunities that come with those frameworks. But we must also critically recognize that vocational training is also important for certain sections of the youth, and so is entrepreneurship. So in a nutshell, my recommendation is that we need a mix of the three options in order for our youth to remain relevant in the labor market, but we can segment it depending on what sort of youth that we are talking about, because even the youth in my country really are not homogeneous. They have different characteristics. Some are with basic education, some are unschooled, but we also have highly educated and highly exposed people. So each of that segment, in my view, requires a different type of training, and I would recommend the three options to be adopted. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ruben. As I said earlier, I encourage all participants when I ask a question to a panelist, if you have an answer or if you have a comment or a contribution, please just go ahead and write your comment in the chat. I will be reading some comments, and then maybe in time to come, I will also give time to some few participants to give their comments.
Just to supplement on Ruben, my name is Stephen with Ministry of Trade too.
Karibu sana.
Karibu, okay. Just to supplement, I just want to let you know that in Uganda, 80% of, we are approaching actually 45 million. That's the population of Uganda. And 80% of that population is the youth. So, and 90% of our service sector is made up of SMEs. So you just imagine the contribution the youth have to our department. Now we have a directorate, which is extra. Our directorate is micro, small, medium enterprise. Under the directorate, we have a technological innovation and research department, which is geared only towards entrepreneurs. Okay, so what we try to do is we are actually trying to promote the triple helix function that Ruben actually mentioned earlier. And the triple helix function is the combination of academia, industry, and government working hand to make entrepreneurs be able to create some good startup. The problems, of course, that the youth are having is one of the things is quality assurance, producing goods at high quality. And the other thing is, of course, when they come out from the university, a startup kit, which means most of these goods are very expensive. how do they get shared costs? So what we do is we try to promote youth to form circles. These are small savings and association groups where they can afford these high expensive tools and be able to start up their small companies. Okay, I was just supplementing on what.
No, that's very nice. Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen. Yes, I will just read. Okay, see, Joan has dropped. I just read on one message from Millie. Millie said, in Uganda, we really need entrepreneurship and vocational trainings. It's an era when formal being portrayed as a meaning I can't read, I can't understand very well, but okay. Second, somebody, Eva from Atakunda from Butisema University said, I have never seen any entrepreneurship outreach in my university. Thank you, Mr. Ruben and your colleague. How do youth not in school be able to access information on international trade and tap into different partnership? I will just advise Mr. Stephen or Mr. Ruben to just give an answer in the chat so that everyone can access it, and ask my team if they are ready for the first poll to go on. Meanwhile, we can continue. We can continue our discussion. Harriet.
Yes, please.
Yes, that's good. Okay. I will let you present yourself and tell us about what you do, and then the question I will ask you, it's about does Dorigo framework in terms of labor rights protect young workers in Uganda? How do the whole legal framework protect young people who do jobs here and there? And I have a controversial question together with that. If you may, what is the average monthly salary paid to a young professional in Uganda? Just to give a round figure of like the average. Again, as I said, anyone who wants to put a contribution, please go ahead and write. I will read in the chat.
Okay, thank you, Kaze. So my name is Harriet Kamashani Tumusime, and I'm the team leader at Rhythm of Life. Rhythm of Life is a social initiative that exists to break the vicious cycle of mother-daughter prostitution in Uganda, and we use 3 pillars of education, economic empowerment, and healthcare. So for the purpose of this discussion, I'm going to alleviate a lot on education and economic empowerment. So what we strongly look at as a backbone of holistically empowering the young girls and the women is through hands-on skilling. So we embark on confectionery trainings, we embark on tailoring, we embark on the African crafts, really the skills that help them start small-scale businesses, one, to increase their employability, but also to increase their potential to be financially independent, running their own initiatives. So the first question of an average salary. An average salary, I think, is averagely should be 500,000. That is like 200 USD. Averagely, not very, very high and not very, very low, something that can really cater for the biggest target population. So the first question was on the legal framework. I'll be very, very honest with you. My background is not in law. I am a social entrepreneur, and my background is strongly in international development, even with experience both locally and internationally. I am more on how the community or the nations thrive in that particular sphere. But I remember in 2019, I participated in a program under CAS, the Conrad Adenauer Stiftung, and I had a policy brief published which looked at the financial inclusion of marginalized target audiences. And with the findings we found, and we still echo them, is the fact that even the environment does not support the financial thriving of most target audiences. Right from the community initiatives, if we're talking about SACCOs or credit facilities, if we're talking about banking institutions, how customized are they when it comes to the products and services when they do the planning for the target audience? So it will still come to the high level, maybe the middle class or the higher class citizens that are customized or are planned for when it comes to these financial services. So it means the legal framework has not yet become this inclusive to include the young people or the starters that still want to thrive in such an environment. My colleague Ruben just talked about the homogeneity of the youth target audience in Uganda. We have different people in the rural settings, in the urban settings, talk about the women and the men, talk about the girls and the boys. So definitely we cannot have something that caters for all of them, but we can have something that can be customized to meet the needs of the different target audiences. Which legal framework is still pending. We'll talk about bodies like maybe the National Youth Council or maybe the employability policies or the trade mechanisms. We still don't have a clear plan. We don't have a clear pathway on how all this can really cater for this target audience. This is what I can say, and I welcome my comrades to add up anything. I see a hand up already from Kelvin. Over to you, Kazeneza.
Thank you very much, Harriet. Again, as I said, please keep bringing your answer. Kelvin, do you have a contribution?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much. My name is Kelvin Ochaya, and I get so much, happy when I hear people speak about business because I have co-founded an organization and helped university students start up businesses, and over 100 businesses I've helped aid, which are owned by young people. But the biggest thing is, I think the government has a big challenge because not everyone is an entrepreneur. When it comes to issues of addressing unemployment, not every single individual who is unemployed must become an entrepreneur. And I think that's the biggest challenge that people are making. Now, when we look at the education system, I don't think the education system really has a problem, but the biggest challenge is synergy. Now, let me give an example. Someone studying business might have an idea to solve a community challenge, but he will need different professionals and different experts to work with. Now, is there a way me in a business school can connect with someone in law who is studying law from the law school to come and offer me legal aid, someone in business to do marketing, someone in engineering to be able to, come up with a machine or, the technology that I want? Now, if such kind of synergies are not included, especially in universities, then it will make entrepreneurship very hard. And I think the biggest challenge comes in the curriculum development. Now, this curriculum is developed by professors, or let's say like the lecturers. But at the end of the day, the people you teach are going to work in companies out there owned by individuals. So now I think it's very important for universities to work with the private sector. Because when the private sector is involved in the process of curriculum development, definitely once a student graduates from the university, already knows what he or she is going to do in the what? In the employment field. And another thing is in line with, I've had so many students complain that I have just graduated and they're asking me for 3 years of experience. No, that shouldn't be an excuse. By the moment you join the university, you must attach yourself to an organization or a company. And your study must become, there is a word I always like using. So whatever challenges you experience from the company or organization that you're volunteering in, you bring it in class as a case study. So once this is discussed, that means you take to the company what they call solutions, and the company continues to grow. So now, if such kind of things are not involved, it's going to be very hard for us to address the issue of employment. And I think the biggest challenge also comes to nurturing. Parents have totally left all responsibilities to teachers and whatever, but they play a a key role towards the development of a child and who this child should be in the next 15 to 20 years to come. Now, if parents don't get back to their responsibility, it's going to be like really, really very hard. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Kaze. Can I comment? Can I add something on that, Kazaneza?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kevin. Actually, he also talks about, the concept of economic democracy when we talk about youth unemployment, underemployment, and poverty. So this underpins the essence of youth political participation. If we are talking about gainful engagement of youths in productive and economic activities, young people need to be attracted by the virtue of their voices being heard, not the virtue of financial incentives by the political elites. Because we've come to a point where youths are, talked about or thought about during elections or at points when they need their engagement or their vote. So the rationale of this thinking is that unless the youth become active economic actors, their voices and demands will never be granted. Youth representatives see political positions as job opportunities, non-platforms to represent. So even as we talk of university youths or even in the community, let's go out there and be the influence in terms of decision-making processes, because it's always about the youths. And all these concerns we're talking about, they're not even for the president to address, nor, yes, we understand the synergies, we understand the role of different actors, but also the youth, us as youth, let's take that initiative, let's take the lead in having all these things come to an end or having a collective intervention. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Harriet, for that encouraging and strong remark. I'm going to Aluma Edward Ednis. Aluma.
Yes, please.
Yes, it's alumni, sorry. Just present yourself and then we go to the question.
Thank you, moderator. I'm Alumni Edward Edins, the Secretary for External Relations to the National Youth Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, really very much appreciated the whole support we get from the National Youth Council Uganda. And my question is, what are the main challenges causing and sustaining unemployment in Uganda? I know you have a lot of talks, you guys represent young people. Among whatever you see, what are the main challenging and causing and sustaining youth unemployment in Uganda? Again, as Aluma is answering, please go ahead and type your contribution, or if you have want to talk, just raise your hand. Hello. Okay.
Yes, please. Thank you. The question is straightforward. What are the main causes of unemployment of the youth in Uganda? I would like to approach it in this way. First, I will relate it to what panelists and other members have been talking of just a few minutes ago, the question of our education system. I think the design of most of these academic programs, especially those ones in the tertiary institutions, and also the way we have been brought up from primary and high school time, do not prepare the young people adequately for the world today. People go into school with a lot of hopes, and they graduate even when they are happy. People have been witnessing here. A lot of congratulatory messages have been sent. But immediately after the event of graduation, someone has no clue of where to apply their skills, of how to become entrepreneurs on their own. So definitely that tells us whatever training they have been going through in their various academic programs have not prepared them enough to do what the current world wants. However, I'm not also an expert in economics, just like somebody has given a disclaimer, but I'm a youth leader. From the perspective of youth leadership, the government of Uganda has tried to solve the problem of unemployment, basically by providing resources, startup capitals for the young people. And that's why we have been seeing empowerment programs for young people and also for other categories of people here in the country. However, the challenges with these programs have been greatly corruptions in the system. The funds that are available for the young people do not reach them as expected. When you budget for 5 million, you find the person who is supposed to receive the money gets less than that. And yet the intended project costs exactly perhaps what the money is intended to do. But along the way, some of our public servants are not polite and they take up this money of young people, and it's making it very hard for the youths to engage in self-employment in case they fail to be employed by other people in time. I think that is the brief I can give in for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see many hands. Stephen, I will keep I will keep you waiting, because the next question I would want you and Mr. Ruben to answer. I will just let me Kibuka, Godfrey, do you have something you wanted to contribute?
Yes, I do have some contribution, please. I am Geoffrey Chibuka. Apparently, I'm working with the UHD, but at the same time, I advocate youth empowerment in Nakaseke, that is my district. For me, I think the most important point here to note is that the government has failed to provide good governance in the country. Why am I saying that? As a youth, I have tried to engage several young men and women in my district to see that we can create for ourselves work and jobs, and in terms of being like trying to be entrepreneurs. But the taxes too high, and the regulations, I may cite one, like when it comes to the UNDS, you try to create something, you go buy things from the market where you have a regulation, that is the UNDS. At the same time, the policy enforcement will come and confiscate things. We ask ourselves now, where do these things pass to enter the country? So partly, as my colleague said, that maybe the government has tried to boost the youth, help them with money to create jobs. There is one that is called YLP. We tried that, but the whole thing goes back to the system governing the country. I think I'm clear on that.
Yes, thank you. Just so that we give time to others, I will just read one comment from Oriema Edison. He said, youth unemployment has been attributed to corruption, those with money taking position meant to be for those without money but have the capability to perform the expectations of the citizen in a given office. Okay, 1 second. I'm trying to get the whole. Yes, unfair pay and working condition especially in private sector, hence forcing young people to join other ventures such as border and other things. Let's keep engaging. Just to do a check from I don't know if it's my device having a problem. My colleagues have told me that the poll is out. Do you guys see the poll?
Yes, we saw and failed some of them.
Oh, okay, that's good. So it's me who is having a problem. So keep answering to the poll. Yes, they are reminding that the icon is down. Yeah, I will go to the next question to Mr. Ruben and Mr. Stephen. They will help us. Does Uganda have affirmative action programs for traditional labor market to support youth access to employment opportunities when disadvantaged? We know young people are always in a difficult situation, but does the Uganda government have affirmative action to help young people?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I will want to respond to this question out of my own understanding of it. It's not a government position per se, but I wanted to pick on a few words in this kind of question. Affirmative action as a keyword, traditional labor markets as another keyword, and then employment opportunities as another keyword to focus on, and then disadvantaged. Then after, I want to use those keywords so that I can create a context in which we need to understand youth and employment. When I looked at, for example, the concept note for this meeting, for the case of Uganda, it recognized that the youth form at 75% of the total population. Now that tells you that these youth have got economic choices in terms of the goods and the services they buy. Now that means the youth form quite a very substantial part of the demand the country has. And it is this demand for goods and services that creates opportunities for employment. So the youth must understand and appreciate that using their sheer numbers and their choices and the choices they make to buy goods and services is the one that is going to create opportunities for their employment, because they're going to get jobs in the private sector, in factories and other service providers. If those service providers quite clearly, their goods are being demanded, that means they need to employ more of the labor so that they can satisfy the demand. Now, when I look at that parameter alone, I find that there is a huge disconnect. The youth in my country, as an appeal, it's just an observation, is that the moment you go to procure a good, and say you are procuring a good from Europe or Asia, essentially you are exporting your chance for a post of employment. You are also transferring economic resources in terms of our currency, but you are also transferring your capacity to learn new technologies, new skills, because the production facilities you are choosing that they should be located outside your territory, for which you have very limited chances of getting employment from there. Understanding that concept, therefore, is very, very helpful for us to be able to recommend or to diagnose what solutions that can be there, sort of youth unemployment. So the first understanding the youth must have, and all of us collectively, is that the youth are the center of the riddle of employment by focusing our demand towards production facilities that are located within our territories, that we should support them. And then after supporting them, then they can create opportunities for us for employment. That is understood, but also I wanted to add on to define the concept in my own understanding that we have a little bit of a conceptual disorientation, if I may be allowed, about the youth generally in Africa, whereby they look at employment as if it is something that is supposed to be given. Employment is a very serious matter for livelihood, for empowerment, for development, and it must be deliberately created collectively by the masses that belong into a particular territory. The African youth and the Ugandan youth in particular should not look at the government as a provider of employment per se, as if it is a charity. So the economic identity, if we look at ourselves as economic identity participants in the value chains, then the moment we define ourselves and we are clear on what we want, then we shall know that employment is a very, very serious matter, and we shall cease to look at it as if it's something that is being that will be offered to us by a matter of government policy, or maybe by a matter of some non-government organization, civil society organization, or church leader. It is a very serious matter that we must focus on as a youth, since we have a lot of the future to be led by the youth. The mindset change that we want to appeal to our youth to have is that we need to reorient ourselves and know that we are Africans, we are Ugandans, and we have got a very big influence on us to create economic opportunities. We should stop looking outside our borders for economic solutions, for grants, for civil society to be the steward of our development, to determine the destiny of unemployment.
I just have a question just on the clarification. But it's really true, and I totally agree that young people need to do a lot, have to do themselves. But let me just give an example, and I think many young people here will relate on issues of capital. Young people might not have a big capital which will allow them to start a business and pay taxes and do a lot of administrative things. So that's where I'm asking, is there maybe some affirmative actions which government might say, you know what, for 3 years we will not ask young people for taxes, or maybe if there is tender procurement, we will let by government, we will let maybe 20% be given to young people. So because young people normally have little, and they fight in the market, in the marketplace with big fishes who might have big money and what. So what I'm trying to ask is there any affirmative action to help those young people who are trying to get there?
Yeah, thank you, moderator. The answer straight away is a yes, but that yes must once again be understood in the context which I was building there. The programs exist, and they are quite very many, which maybe my fellow youth in Uganda might be able to understand. One of such big ones that we need to understand, we have got a national policy called Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. It's a national policy with a very comprehensive implementation strategy, also built around the understanding that if you buy Ugandan produced goods and the services, that means you are supporting enterprises to remain in the marketplace in Uganda. And for that reason, those enterprises will create employment opportunities for ourselves. So one such huge program is the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. which is an affirmative action actually to empower the environment for creation of employment to Ugandans, especially the youth. There are many other programs. I will not be able to list them. I want to ask the leadership of this URID program to get in touch with the ministry and be able to provide a written response to this particular question, and maybe also organize another dialogue around this subject so that we can discuss it further. But we know, for example, the youth livelihood program, where quite a number of youth have been supported with the startup capital to start their own enterprises. We have the Skilling Uganda program, where we, for example, look at the youth who have not been able to go to formal training colleges or institutions, but they have been able to acquire certain skills, say at welding plants or maybe in bricklaying or whatever vocation they have, that we reach out to them and we're able to test them and be able to award them certificates so that they are able to go and obtain employment, and so on and so forth. I might not be able to list exhaustively, but yes, the government of Uganda has affirmative action programs to support youth and employment. But however, I need to also highlight that where those programs are, maybe the information reaching out to the youth has not been really comprehensive enough so that they are able to, get to them. In that respect, I would want to urge that we need to have more engagement and be able to identify where those opportunities are and maybe how one can be able to access them. Quite often, you'll find the response that is expected from government by many players, by many economic actors, is the tax incentive that maybe if you are paid less tax, maybe your business is going to be. Empirically, as a trade officer, actually taxes are not the most impeding, are not the most inhibiting factor to youth unemployment or youth in entrepreneurship. For taxation, we government taxes incomes actually. So it is at the point when you have already earned an income that a tax will arise. But there are other constraints, very, very serious ones. For example, the process of starting enterprises or registering a business for startups has been a very comprehensive and difficult process in the past that has led many startups, especially those by the youth, to fail right just after they have been, incorporated. So as an affirmative action of government, the government has reformed the processes of government in which businesses are incorporated and in which they can obtain the various licenses they need to enter the marketplace. It used to take possibly about some 60 days, about 3 years back, but today you will need about a maximum of about 3 days to register a business and obtain the necessary documentation for you to legally go into the marketplace and be able to start your own business. That reform alone has reduced the burden in terms of cost, but also in terms of time, in terms of clarity, in terms of transparency, of predictability, and that environment creates opportunities for the youth now to be able to create employment for themselves, either as entrepreneurs or as laborers. There are so many others. I would want the leadership of this.
No problem. We can still have a lot of. We will still have a lot of engagement, and we can still share. I see Joanne. She's aching to have to contribute, but I want Joanne to contribute together with another question. I would want to put at her. What are the 3 key challenges most faced by youth-led enterprises in Uganda? So together with what you wanted to say before, just add also an answer to the 3 key challenges as you or as many other young entrepreneurs have faced.
Vanessa, can I comment briefly before Joanne comes on board with the question?
30 seconds, just 30 seconds.
Yeah, so one, there is a lot of content even when I started Bubu, because Bubu, yes, it seems like it's meant to support the young entrepreneurs in Uganda, but the question is, what are the regulations on the level of importation? So we bring in all the Chinese staff, and of course the consumers, the customers are, they decide for the cheapest and they go for the Chinese products, and the boo-boo products are nowhere to be bought. So is it really a government initiative to support the young entrepreneurs or to encourage more of the imports? Then he also talks about the ease of registration. If we talk about the opportunities, we need to question ourselves on which opportunities are created when a young entrepreneur registers. Apart from the government increasing the tax base, like, yes, if you're registered, we are going to be charging you this on a monthly basis, quarterly or annual basis. But let's realistically look at the other side of the coin, on the opportunities that accrued to this young business that is just thriving. So yeah, these remain unanswered questions, and maybe we can discuss more about this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Before Joan comes, somebody directed and answered. Honestly, Kazeneza, Uganda is beyond urban areas. Most of those actions and initiatives are implemented in urban settings, where youth in rural areas are in another world. They don't know what is happening, like they are not in Uganda, and this is brought about information gap and greedy. So I want just to put it, I needed to say this comment because many of you guys might be living in Kampala and in many important cities of Uganda. But this is also the reality of also some young Ugandans in rural areas we should be taking in consideration. To you, Joan.
Okay. I think I have a lot of things to say. I will just try to be as brief as I can. Yeah, before when I raised my hand, I wanted to, Harriet mentioned something about, I don't even remember, but the speaker before had mentioned about us youth going to universities and finding jobs or companies we can intern or volunteer with to acquire skills. And then I'm seeing a lot of comments about the government doing nothing, the government, Harriet mentioned that we as youth, we need to take action and stand up for ourselves. So I just wanted to comment that as someone said, that the government is not going to provide jobs for youths, and that is true. And then another thing, depending on all the different comments the different things that have been said, I just wanted to say that it's up to us as youths to take action as we are in school, even when we are not in school, to really utilize the resources that are out there. Google, you can take a lot of free courses to acquire soft skills. Right now, when I'm employing someone in my company, I don't just look at someone's degrees and educational experience, because I know I can employ someone who has a lot of a master's degree. But if you just have that with no self-drive, when you don't have the soft skills that I need into the business, I would not employ you. So right now, the trend is changing. The business sector is changing. The employment is changing. And businesses are looking for soft skills, not education, because we all know that just education is not enough for someone to employ you in their company, besides the experience and everything. So that's one thing that I wanted to point out, that we as youths need to invest in ourselves as much as we can to acquire these skills. And then you asked me a question about the challenges that entrepreneurs face in Uganda. So one, I'll just talk about something you asked the last speaker about the policies that are put in place to support like the Ugandan businesses or youth. First, you mentioned something about tax. One of the challenges I've personally faced a lot in my business is having to pay high tax instead of investing some part of that money to invest into the growth of my business. Maybe making like around $300,000 a year, and I have to pay almost $10,000 in tax. And So that is one challenge that a lot of businesses, I've seen a lot of businesses fail because they can't keep up with the tax regulations. So that's one challenge. Then the infrastructure in Uganda. We talked about urbanization, tipped about urbanization. Like a lot of things are found in the city in Kampala. And then being a Ugandan, we still have lack of access to a lot of infrastructure like online payment systems that businesses can use to make partnerships outside the country or to like export their products out there. Like a lot of business struggle to finding the easy ways to make customers have access to their products. You find the freight costs in Uganda are like 5 times than the normal freight costs in other countries. So I don't know why this is, but these are all things that need action that is beyond us, even if we decide to take action. And then, of course, there's limited access to funding, and you find some of it is also a limitation caused by the infrastructure in the country. And yeah, I think those are like the 3 major challenges that entrepreneurs are facing here in Uganda.
Thank you very much,
maybe if,
Joan.
can I add something?
Yes, I was
maybe?
going to give you, yes, go on.
Oh, okay, yeah, thank you so much. So I did a research in 2015, basically to find out why, so many businesses in Uganda don't graduate their first year, birthday. So I think the biggest question that people have failed to ask is, why is an individual starting a business? And, starting a business is, most of the guys, I think, they start business because they have failed to get employment. Secondly, because they are told that the only way you can survive and do something is by starting a business in order to survive. So you'll find at the end of the day, much as somebody starts a business, there are also costs that come in. For example, I've just graduated from the university. I have failed to get a job, and they say the only way for me to survive is start a business. So I start a business. Now I have my own individual operational cost. I have to pay rent, I have to buy food, I have leisure, I have all those kind of things that I need. But these things come at a cost. Now I have my company. The company also has its own operational cost. Now, if I do not manage the economics and the accounts very well, definitely the business will not survive. Now, I remember us proposing this to the government of Uganda. Hey, you know what? For businesses to grow in Uganda, you guys need to come in. You need to come in, because we do not have like venture capitalists. Most of the people who are in the investment club do not trust businesses started by youths. They don't, and they're not willing to invest in them. So if the government doesn't come in and build trust, from an individual level by actually starting to play, the role by themselves, and it's going to be we shall always continue to talk, and nothing is done. Now, we had suggested that the government needs to build, let's say, like a regional center of excellencies, because in Uganda we have 4 regions. Now, those regional center of excellence will help to offer, let's say, the first one is business development services. Now, before you start a business, you need to have a knowledge about financial literacy. You need to have knowledge about sales and marketing. You need to have knowledge about product development and all those. Now, a center of excellence helps to bring those different experts under one roof, whereby once I go there, I can be able to get all this knowledge and be able to run my company very well. And then another thing we propose, the government should build dormitories. Now, this is to reduce on the cost of operation. Let's say if I came from the village, most of the facilities and most of the, Kampala has actually sets a good environment, for starting business. Now, if I come from the village, I don't have any single coin on me. And I came with an idea which I want to come and implement here in Kampala. I need to find a place to stay in. So at the end of the day, if the government doesn't take a role in investing into research, in trying to find out what are the incubation and accelerators in the country doing, trying to see how they can collaborate and work together, it is going to be very hard. They need to I think everything is, when someone comes with a good idea, these guys try to think of way of how to make it political in order to serve their interests. So if they really want to help young people, if every idea does come, they should not incorporate it into political parties. I hear the president always speak about this is this because of NRM, this is this because of this. But at the end of the day, so many people are playing a part, are playing a role towards improving the livelihood of individuals, and some are non-partisan, and some not interested in politics. Now, if everything is politicized or made to be, people lose interest. People lose interest. So
I get your point. Yeah, very right. Just so that we can go to the next question, I had seen Ronald hand, but now he has put it down. But Ronald, if you want to still say something, just 1 minute, 30 seconds, 1 minute.
Thank you, Kazeneza. What I wanted to say, Calvin has touched base, so I won't waste more time. He has said it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So I will go just to let me call you Edwards, because the other one has become very hard for me. So Edwards, you at the National Youth Council and other groups, I am sure you are part of other youth groups. What would you say about the policy environment for doing business in Uganda? Is it an enabling environment or not? Are there, if I was born in Uganda and I have even money and I have ideas, but the policies which are there are really enabling to start business. Go on. Is just me who is not hearing Edward?
All of us can't. Sorry, Edward, unmute. I think it's an audio thing because he's not muted, but we can't hear him.
I think he's.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
No, I'm on. You can hear me now.
Very well.
Okay. So I'm saying the policy environment is enabling to start business in Uganda. However, it is not the best environment as you progress with the business, especially for us, the young people. For me, I'm well versed with what the youths are involved in. For example, most of us run our marketing or even do businesses online. But when we come to the infrastructures required for that, you find the taxes, even on the internet data, are high. The youths are complaining. And also sometimes with some of these platforms we use, like the Facebook, currently to access it in Uganda, you need to connect to a VPN, and yet most young people are using it. Personally, I do also entrepreneurship, though I'm yet an infant in that field. For me, I'm interested in aspects of ICT. But recently, when I went to buy my equipment, the laptops and the printers and so on, it was at that very point I realized the 18% VAT tax we put in Uganda is actually very painful to pay. As I was buying my computer, I felt like not losing that money. So I'm very sure even young people, other young people feel the same pain I felt when paying my tax of around 200,000.
Hello. Hello, we are losing Edward. No problem, we will get back to him. I just want to read one of the comments. Gone, Edward. We had lost you.
Yes, sorry. I was saying, so in my opinion, the policy environment is enabling to start, it will be easy. But as you progress, it will be very hard for you to sustain the business as a young person. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, keep writing your comments, idea. I will read one here. Since resource allocation, policy formulation, etc. in Uganda is centered by politics, young people should take over leadership positions so that they can influence decision-making that favors other young people in the country, because we are tired of blame games. I wish our young MPs we had invited were here, because this is something especially to ask to young legislators, what even they are doing to make all these things become easy for young people. I will just ask my next question to Harriet. Harriet, can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Yes. What are the key reforms do you think are required from the government and the private sector to improve and ease doing business in Uganda?
Okay, very, very key. I imagine we are now coming to an end if we're talking about the way forward. So
no,
for me,
not yet.
for me, one of them is very, very key to look at the multi-sectoral approach, like my colleagues have been talking about, where everyone has a role to play. If it's in different government agencies, everyone taking their part and having this whole supportive system. You know, this is not a one-man show, but everyone contributing towards this bigger cause. So it's a call to all the government agencies, all the partners, all the stakeholders, and to all the youths as well. Because if we appreciate the homogeneous groups of the youths, we also appreciate their differences, and these differences might never be customized. So very, very importantly is to bring this to the round table and have everyone take lead. Then another aspect that I will talk about in shaping the youth political participation, we've just had this discussion has been more on policies, on representation, on frameworks, and trust me, if the youths are not part and parcel of this, we are just singing this song, and we shall sing this song for years. So it's until the youths become an active population in the political arenas, in the political engagements, in the policy frameworks, in the policy spaces, that we can feel the pain that everyone is feeling. I can never talk about what it means to pay an extra tax or putting all my profits in the tax margins of the government if I do not run a business. You know, so it's until we all embrace this and we can take the same direction. The other aspect that I will talk about is raising awareness, especially on the legal basis, the importance of civic education, talking about maybe the rural settings or the youths in the rural settings. The answer is, how do we conduct this in a more civil way with the civil society, or even embarking on other partners if there are schools? Let's raise this awareness. Like my colleague Kevin, who says we do the talk and talk and talk. No, it's more than talking. This is information dissemination. This is advocacy until everyone notices what we need to do, or the Uganda we need to build collectively. Another aspect is audibility of the youth voices. So thank you, ULEAD. This is just one of the platforms that the youths need to raise their voices. The problem can only be overcome when young people are engaged in the productive sector and are able to bargain. You know, this bargaining power, thus economic empowerment. If we are not able to bargain for what matters to us, then the chances of economic empowerment are really going to be very, very less. So demands should not only be put on the government, but also on the youths, on us, ourselves. Young entrepreneurs, we need to support each other. We need to have that kind of fallback mechanism with business ideas, with mentorship, with all kinds of support to promote our own products and invest in our own businesses. So my conclusion would be the economic empowerment of young people is very, very key in creating all these conditions, and also building the confidence and equipping us with the right skills of taking lead in aspects that concern our economic growth and economic empowerment. Thank you so much. Over to you,
Thank
Kazi.
you very much, Harriet. I will just go again directly to Joan. Joan, are you still here? I'm trying to locate her. I can't see Joan. Okay, anyway, my question was to Joan, but anyone, especially between Harriet and Edwards, you can help answer. What single, if you were asked today, what single item do you consider as urgent for you, for your country's parliament to pass into policy and law regarding young people's economic success in Uganda or in the region or in Africa? One item. I will, but again, please keep types your answers also here. If you were to be given one chance to go in front of policymakers, what would you say that this, if you do this, it will help us as young business people? Edward, to you.
Thank you, moderator. That one thing I will request for will be what we have always been advocating for, the youth graduate service scheme. So many people are getting out of universities, but they have nowhere to put their skills into use to help our community. If only they can be backed by policy to be helped immediately after graduation to put their skills into use, I think that will be a very good step forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Harriet, to you.
For me, it would be one, to give tax incentives to the young entrepreneurs to enable their businesses thrive, then to also have new policies on the rates of importation to enable an open market for the products internally in Uganda as a country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, somebody loves you here. Harriet, you are super one.
Thank you, Kamala.
Yes, but me, I'm not satisfied, because I am sure everyone here would want, if we were to be given the time to go in front of our legislatures and whatever, please, what would you ask? I am not satisfied. I'm waiting to see answers here. Somebody said youth loan agriculture schemes. Okay, any other one? Please write your answers. Because I just want to say, we are doing this because we want really to start engaging on, and we want our young members of parliament to be accountable to us. So we need to have ideas to share with them. So we shouldn't be telling them they don't represent when we can't even share ideas with them and tell them, we had told you that time you went at the ULEAD summit, we told you this and this, but what did you do? So yeah, thank you for all your contribution. I see, you see now things are starting to come. Vocational, I think a youth bank will do, largely to finance youth initiative, a bank that will understand youth realities, like no collateral. This is something I am happy to say that in Burundi they are trying to start a youth bank. I don't know if it will work, but it's something we are trying. Vocational education is what we will be talking about to bridge the unemployment gap, active implementation of the national strategy for youth in agriculture. Great. Oh, somebody, yes. Maybe to learn from Burundi. Yeah, it's one of the projects of the new government. We don't know if it will succeed, but it's something they are trying to do so that young people can access funds without a lot of demands. And then what my last question, especially on the economic side, and then we will just conclude in a few minutes with the leadership for the East Africa we want. What role can private sector and training institutions play in ensuring youth participation in economic governance? I want this question to pose it to Ruben and Stephen if they're still here. Stephen, let me start with you. What role do you think private sector and training institutions play in ensuring youth participation in economic governance? If you may.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say that they usually say that in the absence of constraint is the death of innovation, meaning that in the situation we have right now, okay, COVID-19 situation, pandemic, the broken ecosystem, climate change, which is taking over all the national development programs, we do see that entrepreneurship is coming at our forefront, okay, meaning that we are actually encouraging it. Now, I would like to remember, I'd like to remind you guys that we have the SME policy, which is the small medium enterprise policy, which was created. Out of that, we created a strategy. Now the strategy is being revised, and the vision of the strategy is being revised to incorporate, number one, of course, the influx of the what they call refugees who are coming in, which are increasing the job situation here, and also the national entrepreneurship startup policy. Now, a number of youth here are talking about what they call creating businesses, but they create businesses, but they're having problems. One, documentation of sustaining their business, documenting it, maintaining standards. Okay, there are a lot of problems that they're having, and that's where the SME strategy comes in. And when we come in our policy, we come in and say, after a startup has been created, after an entrepreneur has created this business, how do we intervene to make sure the SMEs, the youth? Remember that the population of Uganda in 2050 is estimated to be about 100 billion. So this is all service. So when we talk about youth today, and remember 80% of our service sector is made up of SMEs, which is the youth. So when we talk about the youth empowerment today, we talk about clean energy. How do we developed recently the green manufacturing strategy, which is centered around three things: resource productivity, sustainable performance, and competitiveness. All this is centered around the youth, okay? How does the youth make maximum use of this? How do we lower cost of doing business? How do we have them have access to circles, formation of circles? I mean, youth among themselves don't have trust. If they form groups, how will they trust? How will they govern themselves to create what they call to sustain their business? And that's where the SME strategy comes in. We have a lot of activities we take part in. And I think the main problem, which I think, as someone mentioned it earlier on, is information problem. I think youth are forgetting again that Uganda is no longer considered land locked. It's now land connected, because we're having this African Continental Free Trade Agreement. We're having this EAC agreement. We're having the COMESA, that's Common Market of Eastern and Southern Africa. This is a total population of 600 billion. So there's market out there. I mean, there is no issue about that. So now the actual problem, when we think about 5IR coming in, we're now, God forbid, in the 5th industrial revolution, and people are taking us back to the 3rd industrial revolution. That's where we're going. So Ruben laid it out. There are thousands of programs, and back in the ministry, we have thousands of youth programs. There's the JELIP, which began. The president recently brought up a 10-year program to what they call restore the degradation of the country. What is causing it? They say 80% of the youth and women are dying from what they call cooking stoves, okay? Which means that because of the soot from the cooking stoves. So we are trying to what they call bring in frontier technology. What's happening in the post-harvest creation waves? We have aflatoxins which are being created because of poor post-harvest. So you can bring youth on board, but how do we bring new technology such that they can sustain production and also be competitive in the market? So there's a lot going on. And as I said, the problem right now, as I say, is information. And if you go to the MTIC, that's the Ministry of Trade and Industry Corporation database, all the information is there. We have set up a number of things. We have begun, Ruben himself, my one principal commission officer, is actually began what they call the GS1, which is the GS1 code to increase traceability of goods. We're trying to introduce the agro-produce marketing bill to trace products. We're trying to increase competitiveness there's so much going on to empower youth to make sure they're up to date with their products. I don't know if I answer your question, but my main focus here is that we want innovation. We want the innovation to be changed to business. These innovation ideas, how can they be changed to business? And that's where the National Entrepreneur Setup Policy comes into question, okay? And as I said, we already have the MSME strategy, which the policy. Anyway, I see Ruben's hand is up.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Go on. Thank you, Stephen.
Yes, thank you, Stephen, for your contribution. I want to associate myself with your submissions. But also, I wanted to highlight that this particular question is actually a very, very important one on what role can the private sector and training institutions play in ensuring youth participation in economic governance. Once again, speaking as a government officer, the context is very important to understand. That the private sector, first of all, is there to provide solutions to existing problems. It is only when you have designed a solution to an existing problem that you are going to get clients, that you are going to get customers. That is in the private sector. The private sector, what it needs to know is that the youth have about 80% of our population, and therefore the problems of the youth must be at the strategic level of the challenges that the youth face. For if any private sector player or actor does not recognize that the youth are your customers, that if you want to increase your marketing strategies, to build your brands, you have to build them around the solutions of the youth, then that private sector player does not have a lot of space in the future. For if you solve the problems that exist in society, especially of the youth, you are guaranteed that you are going to have clients and they can only grow and your incomes grow and your other objectives. And so for the training institutions, what role therefore you have to play, in my own view, in ensuring youth participation is that training institutions, especially universities, their primary role of any university is to do research, and research is indeed to recommend solutions also to problems of society. So the partnership between the private sector and training institutions in trying to identify what solutions, what recommendations that they can play in resolving the problems that the youth face, who are the majority of the population today, is a very, very important role that I think needs to be enhanced, and then again must be supported by government, because therein we'll be able to solve our development challenges. What I want to possibly add on this one, much as you're seeing the private sector and the training institutions, there is a concept growing quite a lot in Uganda currently about what we call common user facilities. Common user facilities are those places of work whereby, for example, if you have people who are in the carpentry subsector, maybe they need some certain specialized machinery to do certain functions, but that machinery maybe is too expensive for an individual, or maybe it has limited capacity for a section of individuals, but we can collectively put a facility, such a machine somewhere where the various youth can come and access the services of this machine at very minimal cost. Now, what sort of machinery, therefore, what sort of equipment or skill that we need to introduce in these common user facilities can easily be solved through a partnership of private sector, training institutions, and the government by doing correct diagnosis of the problems that are revolving around the interests of the youth. That's all I can say, and I must be very happy for the organizers of this conference. But the topical nature of this discussion, how I wish that there could be more of such meetings whereby interactions and discussions can be much more meaningful, and that we can also evaluate ourselves how we have implemented recommendations coming out of this meeting. I thank you very much, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ruben and Mr. Stephen. I see Kelvin, but I'm not going to let Kelvin talk now because my colleagues will beat me. I have just 12 minutes to conclude the meeting, and we still have one item we haven't talked, and I want the most participation in this. ULEAD and together with the Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete Foundation are planning to create an East Africa Community Youth Leadership Fellowship, and we are trying to get also ideas from young people on that. That's why we are here. We have somebody called Angela. Angela, can you just say hi from the Kikwete Foundation?
Hello, everyone. It's good to be in the session.
Hi, Angela. Thank you very much for being here. You have been with us since morning when we had the Kenyan consultation, and you are here with us with the Uganda. So thank you very much. As you guys know, former President of Tanzania, President Kikwete is our ULEAD patron. So it's very nice to see his foundation supporting our work. My next question is, are we preparing enough to build the leadership for the East African community we want? Now, we have been talking for almost 2 hours about things we would want to see, all this kind of nice stuff. But are we really preparing? Many of you here are from different organizations and represent different organizations and work with different organizations. I want to open this to all members. This is a discussion, but just to break the ice while others are raising their hands. Do we still have Harriet? Just she breaks the ice and then we go. Okay, let me just go to Edward. Edward.
Yes, please.
Yes. Do you think we are preparing for all these things we keep saying? Are we ready for a new East Africa with a new face, with new leadership? Are we preparing young people to become those leaders we want them to be?
Thank you very much for the question. In my opinion, it is true we are preparing the young people for the East African community we want. Because I can testify by myself, I've been to Ugandan schools all my life, and since day one, East African community has been the talk with all of us. And fundamental measures like the learning of Swahili's languages that are going to unite us, our East African anthem is part of our life, and even our flag. So that is a very good image that we are in the process of mentoring our young people for the leadership of the East African community. However, there are some gaps which are yet to be addressed. For example, as young people, as we move into the East African community, yes, right now, in terms of the economy, we are together, let me say that. But politically, we are still on that way forward. And hence, it will be very important for us as the young people, to also have a platform where we discuss amongst ourselves. Actually, that's why I'm thankful for this platform. But later on, we also hope to have like the East African Community Youth Council, so that we shall agree on what is important to be considered for young East Africans as a group. So yes, we are preparing the leadership for the leadership, but it is not yet there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Edwards. Anyone who wants to say something? I don't want to start calling names, but I'm sure many who are here have programs of youth leadership. Are we doing enough? Should we do more? Okay, you can also type the answers. I'm just giving just a few seconds. Okay, I see Ronald has opened his video. To you, Ronald.
That was my mistake.
I was just waiting. Okay, so people, you don't want to answer my question. How are we preparing? Okay, I see Edison. Go on, Edison. The way I'm so quick to see who is open.
Thank you so much, Kazaneza. I'm Edson Riema from Uganda. That's the Bulisa Oil Village. As East Africans, we have started the move, but we are not yet ready to have the East Africa we want. One, politically, as my colleague has just said it, we are still apart. If we reflect on what is happening between many East African countries, recently we had what happened between Uganda and Rwanda, and recently we also had something happening between
Is it just me?
to our individual countries. We cannot organize our internal people when we are not together as East Africa community. Even within ourselves as Ugandans, we have issues. We are seeing how spaces for young people is being narrowed in politics. Information, people are not being given the information they want. How many people in our rural areas know what East African community is? So these are all questions to be answered before we get where we want to be. Thank you so much.
Very, very, very good observation, by the way. Anyone else? We go just to the next question, but again, I encourage you guys to type your answers. Which now my question is an open question, and we can. I want to read. Okay, this one from Dina Akwi. I hope I didn't massacre your name. Sorry. I think East Africa member states are trying their best to work towards the EAC we want. However, there is a lack of political will for those in power to actualize this dream, unfortunately. Yeah. So the next question is, which of the following do you consider as major challenges to youth leadership? Which of the following do you consider as major challenges to youth leadership? Lack of essential leadership skills, lack of mentorship framework and opportunities with senior leaders, lack of exposure to institutional leadership and work opportunities, lack of networking and collaboration. So you can just type, you can open your mic and say something. It's all good to me.
Hello.
Yes.
Oh,
Good afternoon, Emulot.
Good afternoon, Kazeneza. Yeah, it's good to be here, and thank you for the deliberations. They are very amazing. Yes, so maybe just go straight to the issue. What is lacking, maybe in youth leadership? What are those things? And I see, basing on, of course, the Ugandan context, is what we are having is a breed of young leaders who are not acquainted with the leadership skills, and that is a very big problem. And if you also look at, and this, of course, is informed by the debates we have probably in the House, and also you can see we invited also the youth leaders to this webinar, but just because they don't value such interactions, just because, and I don't want. This doesn't mean that I don't want to say that maybe they didn't attend because of that, but that is one of the major reasons. The youth in leadership mainly lack the art of leadership. That's what I could say. And it's informed by the way they conduct themselves. Probably even in parliament, if you look at their debates, very shallow. And we as the African Youth Charter hustlers, that's what we actually found out, that what we need is mainly to empower this youth with knowledge. That is first of all. And this is informed by if you look at the 2020 general elections, maybe if you don't know, that these elections brought in quite a number of uninformed young leaders into government, both local government and central government. But if you look at the level of knowledge in terms of governance and what needs to be done, these youth have little of that knowledge. And that is the biggest challenge we have. And so what happens? These guys get into this leadership and make a mess. At the end of the day, the old guards come and say, you see, we gave you a chance, but see what you've done. And maybe just to give you a live example, is we had the first heading the National Social Security Fund of the country, that is NSSF. This man was, I think, the youngest CEO in Africa. He was given this position. So what happened? The man decided to embezzle money. And it speaks back to the leadership, the lack of those leadership kind of traits, the good leadership traits. And this emanates from the upbringing and the systems in the country. In most of the countries, they have vibrant youth councils. Maybe also the country tried to bridge that gap by starting the Patriotism Club. But the Patriotism Club or the Patriotism agenda was mainly politicized. And that affected the whole motive of patriotism. And I think that channel was one that was meant to empower and educate youth in terms of, okay, when you take power, this is what you will have to do. When you get into this leadership position, this is what we'll have to do. I think that is lacking. And sorry to waste your time, but I think that is lacking.
No, you are not wasting.
Yeah, that is really the core. Yes, we have opportunities. We have, especially the 2021 general elections, brought in quite a number of us. Even in this call right now, we have quite a number of them. But how many of them can dissect policies? How many can speak up in these local government councils and defend youth budgets, or probably even create youth activities in these local governments and even the central government? We look at the budgets. The ministry that is in charge of directly in charge of youth is the Minister of Gender and Social and Labor Development. But if you look at the budgets, can the youth in parliament defend or maybe an increment in specific activities in the ministry? That is little. We look at the National Youth Council, how much is being given to it? What are the youth in parliament doing? And so this is a bigger problem. It's, yes, we want the positions, but we are not prepared for those positions. That is a bigger problem. We get into them, we are not prepared. So what needs to be done? I think what needs to be done is total affirmative action and total empowerment. So we as the African Youth Charter hustlers, we are looking at empowering these youth from especially we are starting with the local government youth because they play a central part because they're directly in touch with the youth in these local communities. These are the people we need to empower, and these are the people, partners in this call today, need to look at. Because the MPs, yes, the MPs are just a few. There are 5 of them. They can't do really much besides maybe maybe advocating for policy also, but the bigger chunk of these youth are in local governments, the councils, the KCCA councils and the rest. So this is where the energies need to be focused on. And besides that, school, high school and university mentorship. This is something also these people in the call should take up. We should invest more time in university, because now we have seen a trend actually in Uganda that
Hello. Hello, I think we just lost
every guild leader
on.
who personally they find themselves in the university. I mean, the way they got into these positions were mainly because of, oh yes, maybe as I'm summing up, the way they got into this is because of maybe friends' power. But at the end of the day, they get into national politics. We have seen the central government appointing most of them as RDCs, but most of them don't have these leadership traits or these good qualities of leadership that can push them forward. At the end of the day, most of them, if you look at between 5 to 10 years, they are no more. But these are guys who were very vibrant at university. But right now, you look for them, they are nowhere in the leadership of this country. So this is what we need to do. And how I wish ULEAD takes this seriously and just, and of course, we are glad that we have also His Excellency's foundation here. And we pray this is something we are looking at broader, instead of also the fellowship, maybe partnering with, not actually already partners, but maybe also getting involved in some of our activities would be key, because we are totally in touch with these people and we just push this agenda to just inform the youth. So thank you so much.
No, thank you very much, Emlot. I think that's all where we want to be heading, because I think we keep talking about leadership, things we would want to see, but we need those who implement them, those who put them into action, and we have to find a way to really solve these questions. And I think that's where all this is coming from. There are so many messages coming. I will, before I give the chance to go free to speak, I will just ask the last question, which I want you guys to just type. It's just a question of suggesting which of the eminent African persons and leaders would you want to see at an EAC Youth Leadership Fellowship faculty. So if you were to be, for example, selected and participate in a leadership program, fellowship program, who would you want to see there training you or mentoring you or teaching you, whatever? Who would you want to see? Just type your answers in the chat and then go free, take on. I think you wanted to answer on the question we had asked earlier.
Thanks for the opportunity. I think I'm not coming up on the question, but I want to respond to Emirati's submission. I found I agreeing to him with whatever he was raising, but at the same time, I felt like there's some information I wanted to give him. One, there is a saying that goes like, when you see a king appointing a mad person, it means he cannot see the land. Why am I saying that? He mentioned that the leaders who have been like appointed in these recent elections, they're not well trained, they don't have the skills, but it shouldn't be a blame. It's that the people, the people who are voting, they have lost interest in those who have been having the skills that we're talking about. This happens to be a problem in a way that we have the best policies and the policymakers are educated, whatever it takes. But when it comes to implementation of these policies, it is something different. That is the problem that we are facing with the leaders that we hold. And we think they are well educated, they have the skills, they have whatever it takes. But when it comes to implementation of the policies that they come up with, we totally see a different thing. I hope you're getting me. From that, I also want to talk about what you mentioned, not having best skills, that whatever it takes to maybe interpret the policies and all that. During my early age, we used to go to school and we had political education in schools. By then we could, sit, start arguing with the teachers at the basic of the education system of ours. By then, during the 90s, that mayors, there were cliques of elites. That's the period when those guys were introduced into the leadership of the country. So, and for them, they got that opportunity. They went to those that had those subjects that introduce someone who can raise political arguments, who can, and which is no more. So when Mr. Emerald mentioned that the leaders that we are appointing, views and what, so it comes to me that we should not, actually I'm not blaming anyone, but we should encourage our government accept that yes, leadership is paramount, so they should provide, they should let us have the opportunity to go and get this education at. Sorry for that.
Godfrey, I think he was concluding. I just want to really, Godfrey, do you want to conclude? Just 30 seconds. We are very, very, we have taken much time. You are still muted. Okay, so I just want to really I see people are writing names, keep writing the names, even when they will put the final song. I want really to thank everyone, each and every you who has been here, 2 hours and 10 minutes that we have been together. Thank you for taking your time. Thank you for participating. I want to thank especially our consortium members, UNET Uganda, RDP Uganda, Africa Youth Charter Hustlers Uganda Chapter, Restless Development and Action 8, and without forgetting also the National Youth Council Uganda. Thank you very much, our partners who helped us in mobilizing and in putting this event together. I have seen Mr. Stephen has shared his contact. I think somebody had also asked for Emerald to share his contact. Thank you very much, and I can assure you your views and suggestion and contribution will be part of the East African Youth Agenda. Again, have a great afternoon to you all. Thank you very much, and let's keep engaging. My colleagues on the back end, thank you also for being here with me, the whole communication team and the regional coordination team and the EAC Youth Ambassadors. Thank you very much and have a great evening. We are going to evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
There are many challenges facing young people on the African continent. The biggest one of them is that each and every one of the young people in Africa have the desire to become a leader. I think investments should be made more to build the capacity of young people in Africa to become effective leaders.